Hi, this is Andrea. This is a follow-up video on my previous video called Crime and Predictive Behavior. So in that video I spoke about, for example, taking on the topic of mass murderers, because I had been writing Journey to Life blogs on basically taking the different types of mass murder, starting with mass murder by individual, where the individual does it for revenge, anger, jealousy, all those kind of things, and to walk a basic timeline, meaning to take a deeper look into why such an individual would, within their own mind, build up the experience of wanting to kill other people, groups of individuals, from the starting point of anger, rage, and all the rest. So now we can take that point and look at other types of mass murders. For example, mass murdering because of culture, religion, mass murder by state, where large groups of people are killed by the state to protect their power, to lash out at protesters, to control groups that are, standing up, and rebellious groups and those kind of things. So there you have various examples of why an individual or a group would want to kill another group. And the title of my previous video was Crime and Predictive Behavior. And why do I want to discuss something such as mass murder in relation to predictive behavior? Because if you look at when we as a child come into this world, we have no understanding of things like rage, envy, control, desire for power, and things like that. This is something that is taught to a child. Everything that a child becomes in this world, you can always go and walk again the timeline of the child's parents, its peers, its education system, its immediate group, the people who influence it, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, the society within which it lives, media, what the person reads, what the young person will involve themselves in within their community, and what kind of groups they'll get involved in. This will have a big impact on who the child becomes. Combine that then with the personality design of the child, who the child became from what genetic blueprint was given to the child by its parents, and what DNA was passed down to the child from its grandparents, and the DNA coming from each parent's side. If you take that personality design and the character of what the child becomes from a DNA perspective, and you then combine that with the influences of its environment and how the child grows up, what kind of input do other people have into this individual, and what does this individual experience within its world, which then creates a reaction effect. So for example, if we look at the person, here's an example, who becomes a mass murderer, they don't exist as a little child, and the first thought that they start having as they grow up is, yeah, I think it'll be really neat to blow up some people. That will be really cool. We can take a deeper look at the mindset of how such an individual develops the idea of, I'm going to blow up that group of individuals. So there again, I walk the point of taking it to the extreme of things like rage, anger, jealousy, that you would want to really inflict harm on another group like that. If it is done for whatever reason, let's say for example that one religious group believes that they are superior to another religious group. How does this become predictive behavior? Where does it come from, that designing phase of such an action within the individual's mind who is part of such a group? Because this allows us within our society to actually look at, if we can identify the predictive behavior of an individual, of a group, then we can find the solution and get beyond ourselves within who we have become. Now, here we're looking at, for example, predictive behavior would be a child grows up, and what do the parents teach the children? They teach them energetic emotional and feeling patterns. For example, a child from very young is taught to engage itself in emotion and feeling patterns to get the approval of the parent. The parent does the same thing towards the child, where emotions and feelings are used extensively, usually in polarity patterns from each other, to get what the child wants. And as adults, we do it all the time. If I want to use emotions and feelings to manipulate another person to say that they love me, I can engage myself in emotion and feeling type behaviors and even design characters around it to get other people to respond the way I want them to respond, due to existing self-value systems that rely on emotions and feelings, and that rely on things like other people's approval, other people's perceived responses of love towards me, which then allows me to love myself. So this is the first thing that, for example, parents teach a child, is to manifest and engage the mind pattern of emotions and feelings, instead of teaching the child, look, you are here, I am here. Live a life of self-acceptance, self-appreciation, here appreciating myself in the physical reality, in my physical body, and I'm breathing, I'm here, I participate in my world, and that who I am here is not really dependent on what anybody else outside of me does or says about me. I still exist here. So the first thing that we do as parents is we want to have specific experiences. We want to generate specific experiences within ourselves, and we live that through our children. And that's 99% of the time why people have children, so that there can be this engaging of and exchange of experiences towards each other. But actually, if you go and look at it really deeply, you will see that it is you that is generating this experience, but you are using what the other being is doing. Oh, my baby said I love you, or my baby said mama, daddy. I now feel good and happy and content, and I feel like a good parent. And if you walk the timeline, therefore, of how a parent teaches a child to respond to the cues from the parent, this is like where you could say how the human's mind is designed into a specific character and personality. It comes through the parent teaching the child, look, you should go into this and this experience towards your parents. You should have this and this experience towards that toy. If you love mommy and daddy, you will go and clean your room. If you love that puppy, you will respond this way towards it. And that way we detach and separate the actual responsible, self-responsible, self-honest living here in the physical reality with mind-generated value systems that we implant into the child, because we teach the child. The child is at a very impressionable age. For many years, the child is basically observing its peers and parents and absorbing whatever is told to it. And usually when it doesn't want to absorb those experiences, the parents go into the point of discipline. I know what's best for you, so you will do that. And through this, we have come to accept that we need to mold our children into ourselves and the other people that exist within society. Now, this molding process is what I'm referring to here, where we can look at the predictive human behavior of thinking, feeling, reacting, emotions, feelings, behavioral patterns, thought patterns that we program into our children, and we think that this is what it means to be a human being. And through this, if we can fine-tune it to another example, if you go and take the criminal, in this case, let's use the example of the mass murderer. Let's stick to that example. The mass murderer's mind, this is the timeline that we are now taking the end result, and we are saying, let's take a million case studies where we go and look inside the mind of such an individual. Such an individual does it for a reason. They have been taught that their religion, first of all, has a value and a meaning in this physical reality. And not only that, but somebody taught that individual through examples that were set for that individual, or through their own life experience of sorrow and anger, where they then went and looked at, oh, what do other people do who want to feel special and like they belong to something? They belong to a religion. Then this individual, for whatever reasons, due to either character designs of codependency and of obsessive nature, will then take it a step further and become completely possessed and obsessed by their own religion, thus imprinting onto it a super important value, and will then, through the training of how the parents and the teachers and the education system and the media programmed that young person's mind as a child, where you are constantly taught to think about things, to think about it and to give it values and to give it meanings in your mind. So then the religion not only has this meaning, which it really actually doesn't. If you go and look at religion and culture, it only exists because we think it exists. And this individual was taught to think about things and to think extensively and to feel good in the presence of this thing, to feel wanted, valued, important, special. This is every single human being. I'm not just talking here about the mass murderer, but I'm using this as an example to draw a parallel between why we say that certain individuals are strange because they've committed certain actions within society and they are these weirdos, outcasts, they should be hung up and killed. But if we really go and look at, okay, let's go and understand the predictive human mind nature of such an individual, walk the timeline backwards of how was such an individual designed, who actually did it, who participated in it, who taught that individual through society's value systems that they can blow up another group of individuals because their religion or culture or belief system is so important that they have the right to kill other individuals. This comes from what we as society teach our children, teach ourselves and each other. We give these value systems to our own beliefs so extensively that we would take it as far as my choices and my life is more important. So let's just take that as the one point of looking at how does the human being become a very predictive unit with regards to the input that we put into ourselves, that we then live in this physical reality, that then 9 times out of 10 becomes what we see now, which is harming life, abusing ourselves and each other because of these predictive behaviors that we believe are real through this process of thinking. In the next video, I'll take a look again at, for example, the point of the input process, and that we seemingly believe that how we teach ourselves and our children is innocent until we go and look at what is it that we are inputting, because that is the training phase of what the human becomes when we grow up, and that is how the mass murderer as the human comes into existence believing, oh, my lifestyle, my culture, religion, value is more important than another individual's life, and that that person can be, or being or animal can be abused and harmed so that I can live a nice comfortable life and it is fine. So let's go and take a look at walking a timeline of, for all of us, how we have been taught and trained and pre-programmed to get to such a belief system. Thank you.